Well, good afternoon, everyone, and of course, happy Wednesday. It is digital host A.J. Wuest here, welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I take you through 48's top news stories, and of course, then some, before our 4 p.m. newscast. Wherever you're watching right now, whether that is on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, of course, thank you so much for watching and spending just a little of your Wednesday afternoon with me. Now, we have some awesome stuff to get into today, and we'll close it off with our normal Facebook fun segment, our 48 Facebook question of the day. What was the very first concert you went to? And let me tell you, you all had some awesome artists to shout out. And make sure you stick around for the end of today's Before the Four, because I'm going to shout out some of my favorite comments from you all in our 48 Facebook question of the day. But until then, I think it is about that time we jump into some of today's top stories. And of course, starting things off in Tuscumbia, where a 17-year-old was tragically killed in a single vehicle crash early yesterday morning. Now, according to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, the crash happened on Woodmont Drive after 1:30 in the morning. Authorities say the car the teenager was riding in left the roadway and struck an embankment. This caused the car to overturn and strike a utility pole. Officials say the teen was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the collision and died on the scene. The teen has not been identified at this time. The driver of the car, another 17-year-old, was airlifted to the hospital, and the 2 other passengers were also injured and taken to an area hospital. Aaliyah is continuing to investigate this situation. And staying in the Shoals, where a man accused of murdering one in Tuscumbia pled guilty earlier today. 60-year-old Victor Cruz, who you're seeing on screen right now, was charged with murdering Edith Martinez on July 11th, 2023 at McVantage Industries. Police say when they arrived on scene, they found Martinez suffering from severe head injuries and was pronounced dead. According to court documents, Cruz told investigators he and Martinez had gotten into an argument when she swung a metal pipe at him. Cruz then told investigators that he hit her back out of anger. The district attorney recommended a 40-year sentence for Cruz. He remains in the Colbert County Jail without bond. And 48's Aria Pons will have more on today's plea coming up in our evening newscasts. And now in Hazel Green, where a road rage victim speaks out after a scary near-death experience on Monday. 48's Nick Ballinger with the story.
You hear stories and you watch movies of things like that, but you never think that you're going to experience something like that.
For Lauren Davis and her 2 children, what happened Monday morning was as real as it could get. Streaks, scratches, a chip in her window is what she has to show for her near-death experience with an angry and violent driver.
I could see in my rear view the rage in his face, and I thought to myself, this is not right. I don't know why he's so mad at me.
Madison County deputies say this is the face of the man behind the wheel before running her off the road. 45-year-old James William Moore. Davis said Moore rammed into her car and he didn't stop there.
He went to pass me and I was going to let him, hoping that he would just, leave me alone. I looked over and he pulled out a long barrel rifle and took a shot at me. And I had my children in the car. I had my 5-year-old and 2-year-old.
Davis immediately dialed 911.
It felt like an eternity at one point after he shot at me, and this was probably the scariest part of it all, was my car stopped working, and I'm like, it's not going, and I thought to myself, like, this is it. Like, that's really what I thought.
She was finally able to pass him and escape to Walmart in Hazel Green, where she ran inside with her children. It was there where deputies say he started beating her window with a baseball bat, but luckily only leaving a mark.
I would love to see him in jail for the rest of his life.
Well, thank you, Nick. In an update we received this afternoon, Moore is also suspected of road rage incidents in Lincoln County, Tennessee as well. As this current situation. And 48's Noah Cowell will have more coming up tonight. But now let's talk about the weather. 48 First Alert meteorologist Chelsea Aaron has more on this week's weather. Chelsea?
Thanks, AJ. Yeah, it's another warm and sunny afternoon across the Tennessee Valley. All of us seeing plenty of sunshine and unfortunately no significant rain chances in the forecast, at least through the end of the month. Here's a live look at the shoals where temperatures trending above average in the lower and middle 80s and winds are fairly light out of the west. Expect a light westerly breeze as we continue through the rest of your afternoon and early evening hours, with skies remaining clear and overnight lows will be cool, falling back into the lower and middle 50s by the time you wake up on Thursday. Just like mornings in the past, some areas of patchy fog possible by the time you wake up, so allow some extra minutes before you head out the door. But other than that, your Thursday not looking much different than today, with plenty of sunshine through the afternoon, and this will boost our high temperatures back into the lower and middle 80s. Little to no change throughout the rest of your work and school week, with high temperatures staying in the 80s, but a much needed cold front will be arriving over the weekend, bringing a cool down by the time we head into Sunday. Unfortunately, no measurable rain chances associated with this next frontal boundary. An isolated shower or two will be possible early in the day on Saturday, but most locations staying relatively dry. Saturday high temperatures once again reaching the 80s, but by the time we head into Sunday, high temperatures will drop back into the 70s with some cooler air lingering into the following week. The Havoc's first game kicks off this Friday. It's going to be warm. You're definitely not going to need a jacket on the ice, but make sure you have a jacket handy, with cool and refreshing mornings expected through the weekend and into next week.
Well, thank you, Chelsea. Now heading over to Harvest, where a daycare center is still recovering after a car smashed into the building yesterday afternoon. Now, the incident happened at the intersection of Jeff and McKee Road, where a 3-car crash caused one of the cars to hit the daycare building. 6 were injured in the incident, including 1 child inside one of the vehicles. 4 were taken to Huntsville Hospital for treatment, and 48's Callie Neese is at the daycare center today speaking with the owner on how the damage from the crash might affect the future of the business. Make sure to stick around for any updates Callie might have on this situation coming up. Now, a story from 48 Sarah Grace Kennedy earlier today. Wellstone Emergency Services Pediatric Unit officials are already saying they can't treat as many teens as they'd like due to a staffing shortage. Sarah Grace spoke with Wellstone Crisis Center Director Dr. Edgar Finn, who says 16 patients have been treated since last month's opening. Staff members are helping patients between the age of 12 and 18 who are struggling with thoughts of suicide or other mental health issues. The center has 24 beds, but staffers say they can only currently house 6 at a time due to the shortage. Dr. Finn says he hopes they can fill in those staffing gaps very soon, and says the center has been very beneficial to teens struggling with their mental health.
We find that when a youth comes in, they oftentimes feel like they're the only one in the world that's ever felt this way. It's their worst possible day to come into some psychiatric crisis center. It's just a terrible day. And our goal is to take that day and to turn it into the day that things started turning around for them and getting better for them.
Well, thank you. And now in Decatur, where the sexual abuse trial is underway for former Grace Point Church pastor Danny Pitts. Pitts, who you see on screen, is currently charged with 2 counts of sodomy. In day 1 of the trial yesterday, the former pastor's accusers testifying. Both victims say the abuse occurred when they sought counseling from him as children. They claim the encounters happened at the church, in his home, and even at the fireworks stand he owned on I-65. And court proceedings continue today. 48's Daquan Lee was in court all day today reporting on this case, and he'll have more from day 2 of the trial coming up soon. And now a story in case you missed it. Officials at Joe Wheeler EMC say they have seen a massive increase in power being stolen straight from the lines. 48's Aria Pons with more details.
Probably within the last year, you have about 10, and here in the last month, we probably had 12.
Joe Wheeler power theft investigator Slick Jones says they've seen a huge increase in people stealing electricity from their lines. He wants to warn people that it's a very dangerous and illegal activity.
Because you've got a lot of folks out there, kids, anybody could, get their hand in a meter base that's opened up because they don't cover nothing back up. They leave it exposed. Wires laying on the ground. I mean, just anything like that's one of our main concerns.
Jones says these thieves have come up with crafty ways to redirect power to their own homes.
So they're fooling with the high voltage lines, and they could, easily get killed from falling. They'll climb tree stands. I mean, they, just any way they can get up a pole, they're up there, trying to hook onto a wire.
And while safety is their main concern, it's not their only concern.
The power usage that they are, they're using that, so somebody's got to, take care of the bill on it, so it gets passed down, to our customers that way.
When people steal power, those costs remain unaccounted for. However, they still have to pay TVA for the power that was used. That expense is absorbed by all cooperative members. Jones says they are truly doing their best to cut the stealing off at the source.
It helps a lot if they see something going on, you just call us, and that way, because that'll keep everybody safe. And that's our main thing, is keep somebody from getting hurt.
Well, thank you, Aria. Now another story that aired yesterday, in case you missed it. A Huntsville woman expecting to give birth in less than 2 months is now under additional stress after Huntsville Hospital's recent decision to cut ties with United Healthcare. 48's Callie Neese with more.
It's scary to think about that.
Danielle DuPont has been excited to welcome her baby boy into this world, but now insurance has her stressing out late in her pregnancy.
Whenever I've called Huntsville Hospital, they've told me, you can have your baby here, but it would be out of network.
UHC will officially be out of network at Huntsville Hospital November 15th, just a few weeks before DuPont's due date. She told me the thought of switching doctors for the last 3 weeks of her pregnancy is scary, and there seems to be no solution.
And I've literally used this time almost every day to talk to insurance and try to figure out answers, and it's just frustrating.
DuPont has already paid her OBGYN delivery fees, but her doctor only has rights to deliver at Huntsville Hospital. But delivery room fees and other medical supplies, including a room at Huntsville Hospital, would have to be paid out of pocket.
I feel like I'm the one being punished because they're just kind of yanking it out from under me.
United Healthcare said in a statement that members who are pregnant may qualify for extended coverage for a period of time. They advise members to contact United Healthcare, but when DuPont has done that, it has left her with more questions.
I talk to United Healthcare. United Healthcare tells me to talk to Huntsville Hospital. They blame each other for this, and so I'm stuck in the middle.
Well, thank you, Callie. And now in Morgan County, where we learned that an inmate was further charged with assault after allegedly punching a corrections officer in the face. Now, according to the Morgan County Sheriff's Office, the situation happened earlier this month on October 13th. Inmate Quincy Wilkerson, who you are, now seeing on screen, was originally booked into the Morgan County Jail on an assault charge. His bond is now set at $62,500, but it is less than 2 weeks until Election Day. And presidential, Senate, and House candidates, along with surrogates, are crisscrossing the country, making a final pitch to voters. Matt Pritchard tells us both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are focusing on the election's final days.
The time for talk.
We may not have a country anymore.
Donald Trump is an unserious man.
Is quickly coming to a close. Trump honing in on working class and Latino voters.
It's an incredible community, and I liked them, and they liked me.
Kamala Harris rallying in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, even Texas, working to build support among undecided Republicans.
I intend to be a president for all Americans.
Now, for analysts,
this race is so close.
The intensity of this race is just ratcheting up.
The strategies at this stage are tried and true. A robust ground game unfolding nationwide, leaning on door knocks, word of mouth, and high-profile surrogates.
A lot of the money shifts to hiring people to go door to door, to get on the phones, to identify supporters, and to make absolute certain that those supporters are going to turn out and vote.
Now, polling shows a deadlocked race between Trump and Harris.
Those numbers are just for today. They're not the numbers in 2 weeks.
Data that brings words of caution from experts.
The ground game matters. Get out the vote effort matters. Get your people to the polls and potentially show the polls that they predicted wrong.
And while all those factors play out, Harris and Trump are sprinting for the finish line.
They're both solidifying their wall and trying to flip some states that are really so tight.
We have come down in this 50-state race for president to probably just 5 states.
Well, thank you. And now in sports, the 48 game of the week, now in week 9, is the Randolph Raiders taking on those North Jackson Chiefs in a 4A Region 8 showdown. Both squads standing neck and neck for that number 1 seed heading into the playoffs in the region. May the best team win. It should certainly be a very good game. But also make sure to stay tuned for the play of the week, which will be announced tonight at 6 in our evening newscast. This will, of course, be the play of the week from last week, week 8. You guys voted, and we are ready to shout them out. So make sure you're just not going to want to miss the week 8 play of the week. That is for sure. And speaking of things you're just not going to want to miss, you're just not going to want to miss these stories in our evening newscasts. The groundbreaking of a new recreation center at John Hunt Park. Get the latest on that story. Another story you're just not going to want to miss. A famous country singer purchasing a piece of the goalpost taken down after the Vanderbilt versus Alabama football game a few weeks ago. And finally, speaking with a local health expert on the current McDonald's E. coli breakout with what you need to know. These are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. And it is that time. You all have been so patient, waiting, of course, for Facebook fun. Let's pull it up. And as I said earlier, the 48 Facebook question of the day was, what was the first concert you ever attended? I have attended quite a bit in my day, but actually the first real concert, I mean, I was at a Braves game, and I saw a little tiny concert, but it wasn't like a real concert I went to. But that would be at the Ryman in Nashville. I saw Mitchell Tenpenny in concert. That was my very first concert. But what I want to know is what you all had to say. And let's see. Lori said she saw Billy Joel back in 1980. She was by the stage and he grabbed her hand. Wow, what an iconic first concert to go to. Not only is it Billy Joel, but you grabbed Billy Joel's hand. That is incredible. Lori, how long did it take before you actually washed that hand? That is what I want to know. That sounds like an awesome first concert to go to. Thank you so much for commenting. Joanne said, wow, Elvis Presley back in 1977. I bet that was an incredible concert, and much less that being your first concert. It does not get much better. How do you go to another concert after you see Elvis Presley? I don't know how you can do that. But Joanne, thank you so much for commenting. Renee said George Jones. This was at the Civic Center in Rainsville. He actually showed George Jones. He actually showed. That is incredible. Renee, another incredible act. I bet that was an awesome show. Wow, you guys have some of the greatest first concerts, I do have to say. Zoe Bates said Hannah Montana and the Jonas Brothers back in 2007. I bet that was another awesome one. Zoe, thank you so much for commenting. And then Peggy said Leonard Skinner at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, probably around 1974. And I mean, wow, I am just blown away at all the incredible first concerts you all have been to. Certainly could not choose just one or just two because, I mean, honestly, I could have probably chose about 5 others because it seemed like every comment was another absolute legend. So that is incredible. Thank you to everyone who commented on today's Before the Four or today's 48 Facebook question of the day. Greatly appreciated. I love reading y'all's comments. It literally makes my day. So thank you so much. But that is just about it for today's Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around with me and spending a little of your Wednesday afternoon here on Before the Four. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and of course the 48 Sports Zone app. You turn on those push notifications and you will never miss a breaking news story. But of course, that is just about it for today. But as always, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.